So welcome to my channel, Insightful Babbage. So we're gonna talk about the fabrication process based on VLSI technology, and we're gonna study about what is the basic building block, that is the transistors, and how the transistors have been manufactured or fabricated. So the transistors have been created from a element called silicon. So if we want to study silicon, we just have to go through the chemistry of it. If we go into the chemistry of silicon, you know the silicon has an atomic number of 14, and if you go through the octet rule says there is 2, 8, 18. So the 14 nearest octet is 18 to be filled. So there are 4 valence electrons in the silicon atom, and it can form 4 covalent bond with the other silicon atom or any tetravalent element. So this is the thing about what we call silicon. Silicon has a tetrahedral structure that you can see here in this picture. The silicon has a tetrahedral structure like this. There are 4 corner atoms, one at this one, one at this one, and one at this one, and every 4 side it has all the 4 silicon atoms. And if you go through the chemistry of it, it's like this thing. Why silicon has been preferred? Silicon has been preferred because it is like a semiconductor that is not the insulator or the metal, but it is between those. If you try to give extra electron or heat it, there is a transport of electrons, and it will constitute an electric current into it. So how we can constitute electric current? So there are 2 types of semiconductor devices. One is the intrinsic, and the other one is the extrinsic. In intrinsic, we don't dope it with the N type or the P type, but in the extrinsic we dope it by the N type or the P type. What is the N type dopant? N type dopant is basically, it has 5 electrons in the valence band. So it forms, like if we want to form a covalent bond with silicon, it will start with 4 covalent bond with the 4 electrons of the other N type material, and there will be 1 extra electron left. What will happen? This 1 extra electron will constitute electric current. It will flow from one lattice to the other lattice, from one silicon atom to one other silicon atom, to transport charges, and it will result into what we call the electric current. So what is an p-type dopant? P-type dopant, in which there are only 3 electrons in the outermost orbit, and if we form a covalent bond, it forms a covalent bond with only 3 silicon atoms, and there will be 1 hole left, and this hole will constitute a positive current, and it will be a p-type dopant. So what is a p-type and n-type? We will try to learn about more of this in the PMOS and NMOS. When we learn about, I will make a separate video on that thing, but we will learn about what is silicon. So if you go through the silicon structure, if you go through the body-centered cubic, you know this one is the body-centered. You can see it is like a cube shape. It has every corner there is a silicon atom. So there are 8 electrons, 8 silicon atoms placed. So it has some orientation. If you take it this one as the origin, then this will be y-axis, this will be x-axis, this will be y-axis, and this will be z-axis. So the orientation most preferred is the triple one, like 1, 1, and 1. Every axis should have 1 magnitude. So the triple one orientation is being used for the fabrication of silicon. That is the whole thing about. So we want to get the silicon into the most purest form. So how can we get the silicon in the most purest form? So we have to go through a couple of reactions Like if you go in the book, you can refer a book called Simon Sage VLSI Technology. In that equation there is given, we have to take a silica or the silicon carbide, and then we have to react with the silicon dioxide. Then it will give us a silicon in the liquid form, and it also gives us as a byproduct of silicon oxide, and we can also get carbon monoxide. This silicon being formed is been further reacted with hydrochloric acid to give silicon trihydrochloride, and it emits the hydrogen gas and the heat. If we react the silicon trihydrochloride with hydrogen, we get the silicon as a solid form, and it will dissipate some hydrochloric acid as a byproduct. So we get the silicon in the purest form as the silicon in this one. That is the electronic grade silicon. It is the most purest form, and there is some impurity of 2 ppm, what we call as a carbon impurity, and we have what we call there is a dopant impurity also, that is at the parts per billion. So this type of impurities are available in the silicon, pure silicon. So what we talked about the crystal structure, let me talk about the point defect. Point defects are of two types. One is the interstitial defect, in which there is a silicon atom in place between 4 silicon atoms, and there is other defect is known as the substitutional defect. In substitutional defect, we just take out one silicon atom and replace it with another one. That is a substitutional. And let us go through some dislocation. There is 2 types of dislocation: screw and line dislocation. What is the line dislocation? If we try to give some stress on the silicon, there is a misorientation or disformation of orientation in the silicon lattice, and that leads to what we call the line defect. And then we have what we known as the area defect. The area defects are of 2 types, that is the twin defect and the grain defect. Twinning represents a change in the crystal orientation across the twin plane, that a certain symmetry exists across the plane. The twin plane is 111. So if we change the orientation, what we call the orientation of a twin plane, there is a change in the symmetry, and such leads to the area defect. And what we call the grain defect, if there is some extra silicon atom which doesn't constitute into the silicon lattice, some extra one, then it is a grain defect. We have the volume defects, is basically the precipitates of silicon or impurities have been formed in the silicon lattice. That leads to coagulation of silicon, and that leads to what we call the volume defect. So how the silicon has been created? So we go through this Czesorowski process. This process has been developed in by a Polish scientist known as Jan Czesorowski in the year of 1915. And we come here. So what happens? We had the pure silicon, electron grade silicon that you know. So what happened? We have a furnace, ambient control system, and the control system. So what we do, we heat the furnace up to 1400 degrees Celsius. Like you can see here, it is 1400 degrees Celsius. If we heat it in a quartz, made of quartz material, the furnace is made of quartz. So what happens into that? If you pass some inert gas, because we don't want any reaction of silicon with oxygen or something like that. So there is an atmosphere, inert atmosphere of argon. Argon is an inert gas, you all know, guys. I don't want to talk about it, but everybody knows about argon is an inert one. So in a gas filled of argon, the chamber, what we call the furnace, has been heated up to 1400 degrees Celsius, such that the silicon has been taken into the form of liquid state, melted liquid state. So what happens? There is a puller that pulls on the liquid upwards, so that there is a temperature difference, and it and it becomes cold and it solidifies and it tries to form an ingot, that is the shape like this. This is the way an ingot is formed. This ingot is formed, and afterwards we try to slice it into the disc. Like if you try to slice this one, it will form a disc, and wafers have been produced, circular wafers have been produced. So what happens next, we try to polish the surface of the wafer, because if there is any contamination, there will be defect in the chip, and there is what we call chip defect will cause the manufacturer loss, and there will be a less profit and a less yield. So it's a very highly facility fab lab, what is called the fabrication lab. In fabrication lab, we need a highest accuracy because it is very synthesized in a very highly costly environment. So this is the way the Szyszorowski process works, and this is the way we slice it into wafers. And there are other steps we will go through in the next lectures, that is the epitaxy, oxidation, lithography, and this will be studied in the next what is etching and all those things we will study in the next video. If you like my video, try to subscribe my video and click the bell icon for further notification of my videos. Thank you, and keep watching my videos.